Hey guys, Tommy with Studio Sense here. Thanks for stopping by to check out today's video. I've actually been sitting on this fragrance for several weeks. I'm finally getting around to giving you guys my first impressions of this. Originally back in 2002, Rochas created and launched Rochas Man Intense. And now they've re-released it. If you can find information that indicates otherwise, please let all of us know in the comments, but pretty sure it's been reformed and re-released in Europe as Rochas Man Intense. And today I'm going to give you guys my first impressions of this gourmand eau de parfum concentrated fragrance. I've got that and more coming up, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. So if your gig is gourmand, you're going to be happy to know most Euro-only fragrances slowly make their way to the US, especially if they're popular. Today we're talking about a release from Rochas called Rochas Man Intense. Its classification is that of an amber woody gourmand fragrance. Now before we do anything else in traditional fashion, let's take a quick look at the presentation. The box itself is kind of a salmon color. You could say dark pink, and that's fine, but it has a very shiny sheen to it. The writing on the box is in silver. At the top it says Rochas Man, and then below that it says Rochas Paris, and below that it says Intense. This is a 100 ml bottle, and the concentration is EDP, or eau de parfum. The sides of the box have no information. On the bottom is the ingredients listing, UPC, and some various stickers. On the top of the box, it does have a circular logo that says Rochas. The most interesting or eyebrow-raising feature of the presentation is the bottle itself. Some have called it a phallic-looking bottle, or it looks like a plug, or something like that. I kind of find it interesting. I think it is an interesting bottle. Of course, the atomizer is on the bottom when it's sitting on the shelf. The hue of the juice itself is pink. The bottle is a combination of frosted glass and plastic. There is a silver band going around what would be the bottom of the bottle that sublimates the whole, kind of brings a freshness and radiance to the overall presentation. On the bottom of the bottle, there is an adhesive sticker, 24M as in Mary, 50M as in Mary, 329. The atomizer, as well as the base of the atomizer, is silver plastic. The aperture is black, and it pumps out, it sprays out a very good amount of juice. It's an admirable atomizer, I would say of medium quality. If you grab the bottle and you're holding it and getting ready to spray it, then the bottom then becomes the top. The lid snaps back into place. I think overall, once you get over the initial, that looks like our 12-year-old joking brain gets beyond what the bottle looks like. It's actually kind of cool. Kind of a cool presentation. The juice is pink, but it's a little bit counterintuitive to what the actual fragrance is. This looks like it might be a feminine floral fragrance according to the color, but it is a gourmand coffee fragrance, and that's kind of odd. You would think that it would be a brown or a light tan or yellow color, but no, they opted for pink. So getting beyond that, it does look okay, I guess, sitting on the shelf. So the presentation overall, though, if I were forced out of a 10, I would say this is probably a 4.5 in terms of presentation. Enough about that. Let's get into the fragrance itself. What about the notes that make up Rochas Man Intense? Rochas Man Intense is an amber woody fragrance that features top notes of citrus and lavender, with heart notes of cappuccino and a cedarwood accord, resting on a base of vanilla. So 5 overall published notes or accords are what we're talking about today. I'm sure there's probably more, but we're going to focus just on these. And in fact, when you smell the fragrance, kind of what you're able to pull out of the air olfactively are really just these notes. And we're going to kind of go into how I experienced the fragrance and my first impressions. I'm going to use a tester strip here and show you guys the sprays. Again, it sprays a really good amount of juice, so the atomizer is of good quality. The thing about a bottle like this is you have to put the lid on to set it down. If you set it down, it's just going to like roll around on the table. I'll set it aside and I'll give you guys my first impressions. It does open, and when I say open, I mean immediately as soon as you smell this, you get this kind of striking sense of fruit, right? It's just got this really intense but very brief fruit accord. To me, the fruit is there and then it's just gone. Now, there is also a lavender note in the open, but to me, the lavender doesn't come across really strong or really sharp in the open yet. In the open, it's lightly powdery, it's lightly sweet, but again, the sense of the lavender is relatively hazy and a little bit elusive. The open suggests that there is more to come, but it doesn't give you a lot to go on in terms of what that more is. However, when you start getting into the heart of the fragrance, after about 5 to 10 to 15 minutes is when the heart of the fragrance starts becoming apparent. That's when the lavender gets stronger. The sense that this is a coffee fragrance comes in the mid, and you get this also really very clean and present woodsy note of cedar that comes to the foreground, and I really like that. So it is a very woody fragrance, which is a great combination when you're adding, gourmand notes to a fragrance. It gives it a good stable background to live in. It's very pleasant, and it's sublimated by a burgeoning cappuccino appeal. That cappuccino is basically a sweet coffee. Finally, the hint of sweetness reveals itself in full creamy milky form with that vanillic base. In the base, the lavender is actually still going strong, and it grows with the overall olfactive intensity. Rochas Man Intense is a sexy, sweet, coffee-oriented gourmand fragrance. Now, for those of you that are wanting this intense barista-like coffee experience, roasted coffee experience, you're not going to get that in Rochas Man Intense. However, what you are going to get is this sweet vanillic presence with just a touch of coffee. So for you vanilla lovers out there, if you want a light coffee gourmand experience enveloped in a woodsy sensibility with a final creamy vanilla base, then this is the fragrance you're looking for. Rochas Man Intense is not a loud fragrance by any means, but it is also by no means shy. While this is just a first impressions video, I'm not going to give you guys some data to go on in terms of longevity. I can tell you I have worn it overnight, and even hours later, and I'm talking 6 to 7 hours later, I still catch whiffs of this, and in particular the coffee vanilla combination on my skin, and it's very pleasant, and that makes me happy to know and to be able to tell you guys empirically that it is at least a 6 to 7 plus hour fragrance. It feels really good, and I think Rochas did a great job of reproducing what was a great scent. Don't know why the 2002 version just went away, was discontinued, but I think it was wise of them to bring it back, because coffee is, whether it's drinking form or gourmand fragrance form, coffee is always a timeless classic. It's always relevant, it's always trending, and it's always something that people want more of. So I'm really happy that they've created this, and I feel like even though it is a European only release right now, it is going to migrate slowly to the US, and once it hits discounters, I think it's going to be a great buy. For those of you that don't mind ordering and waiting on your fragrance overseas, there is a website that I have linked below if you want to pick up this fragrance. If you want to wait for it to make its way into the US, you can do that as well. Either way, it's really not a bad price for a 100 ml bottle of a really nice coffee, lightly powdery, sweet coffee gourmand fragrance. Now, what about the sweetness of this fragrance? It's not really heavy or sticky sweet. Honestly, I feel like they did a fantastic job of moderating and mediating the sweetness in the fragrance to where it's just a temperate sweetness. It's just kind of a midline sweet. It's not cafe au lait sticky sweet at all. It's just a really lightly powdery, lightly coffee, more vanilla sweet fragrance. I think it's a great gourmand masculine fragrance, but it does have a little bit of a unisex sensibility to it. Not as strong masculine as some other coffee fragrances that I can think of, like Polo Red Extreme. This one errs on the side of more of a unisex feel, but it does carry a tantalizing and appreciable scent trail. But what season would you wear Rochas Man Intense? Well, the gentle but exponential growth in the fragrance strength actually allows for more versatility. In other words, I would recommend wearing this fragrance in a little bit of cooler weather, like fall going into winter, and then of course spring and the cooler days of spring, and then the cooler nights of summer. The only weather or season type I wouldn't wear this fragrance, because it is a vanillic sweet fragrance, is hot days of summer. The cost of this fragrance when it finally hits discounters is going to hover right around the $40 to $30 mark, just like Rochas L'Homme and Rochas L'Homme Aromatic are hovering at, I think around 36, 35 bucks, something like that, which is a really good price for a woody gourmand fragrance. It's really hard to find a good gourmand fragrance at a very cheap price. This is going to be one of those in that particular genre, so it definitely should be a fragrance on your radar when it comes to the US to pick up at discounters. Guys, that is a wrap on my first impressions of Rochas Man Intense, the woody amber gourmand coffee fragrance. I'm really into coffee fragrances. I can't wait to give you guys my first impressions of 212 VIP Black I Love New York, which is the new coffee gourmand fragrance by Carolina Herrera in the VIP, the 212 VIP line. That's going to be coming up pretty soon, so be on the lookout for that. I mean, we can't go out there and get Angel for Men Pure Coffee anymore, the Mugler fragrance that is a wonderful roasted coffee oriented fragrance, but you still can pick up quite a few gourmand coffee fragrances. This one is going to be a great one. Thanks so much for stopping by to check out today's first impressions. I hope it will be helpful to you. As always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.